Yeah, but you also have to, I forgot to say also, you have the distance between the 50-day and the 15-day moving average, right? As they're more parallel to each other, you're still in a good direction. As they come closer on their distance, you're going to be closer to, uh, switching to the going in the different direction of the trend, trend. Okay, trend.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
So
a
this
lot
is
of
where I
mathematics
wrote.
in the slope. I mean, just in the moving average that I've been studying. That's why I'm actually very interested to do this because it seems logical and it uses some basic mathematics to do it.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, so I guess the gist of it is, so this is kind of what I'm thinking, right? Is that basically it would get the raw price data for Palantir, and then we would have something that calculates all these different things for you. Like you're saying 50-day moving average, I think 30-day moving average and Fibonacci, right? You want to do all those,
Yeah,
right? And then we would
either
show this graph to you so you could see it, right? And then our agent would be able to read that graph and then say, should we buy or not based on that, right?
right, it's gonna buy and sell based on the slope. I mean, you're still gonna have your watermark that at the 80% and what you can do 20 or 35%, either one, where it's overbought or oversold. You know, and those usually ride. The problem is that sometimes when it goes up, it'll stay in the overbought for some time, and you're gonna lose all that potential money. But when you go back under the 80% watermark and it's in a downward slope, then you know that's going to be your selling point because you know the trend is down going down.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? So the way that that I'm thinking is you'd be able to like start a new chat, right? Um, so you'd basically be able to start a new chat and say, um, get me prices for Palantir, tell me about the 50-day moving average. So I'd type it in like get me, this won't work right now, but for PLTR and graph it with the 50-day moving average, 30-day moving average, and Fibonacci, right? So you say something like that, right? And then if I hit enter here, which this is not going to work, but we can get this to work. This, I think by next week we can get to work, right?
Yeah,
Um,
the thing is, there's the indicators are already there. If you can just, well, yeah, doing the math for it at a consistent basis is very hard to do
mhm.
with the bot spot. That's what I've been trying to do, and I failed. So I've been trying to do it other ways.
Okay. So here's an example of me trying to get it to work inside of BotSpot right now, but it is obviously not working, and it created a strategy instead of actually doing the getting the data from the broker and showing me a graph.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So here it's trying to like create a strategy and like it created the Palantir chart helper. Um, yeah, created Palantir chart helper strategy. Yeah, so it created a strategy, but that's not what we would want here.
No, but it looks similar like that. You see that? It looks similar like when it crosses.
Yeah, this is an image of what it would look
Yeah,
like,
it
right?
looks
But
very good
it's
like that. It's just the problem is it doesn't have the additional concepts into there like the 80 day 8% March max and that. That's yeah, called.
yeah. Yeah, no, this isn't like actually real. This is just an image, right? And say here it created a strategy, but it should not have created a strategy. It should have gotten the data from the broker and shown a graph in the chat window. Okay, cool. So I gave him this information. Martin's really good at doing stuff like this, and he's gotten a lot of the stuff working. So I'm kind of getting him to take the next step of like, okay, you got the back end actually working. Now let's turn this into like a product that people can use, right? So he has all the stuff because the way that this works is for legal reasons, we can't just give you data, right? Because like we have to pay a lot of money for that data, and maybe one day we'll just like pay money for data. We'll just bite the bullet, but we don't have enough users yet to support that. But as of right now, if you link your broker, we just pull it from your broker, right? That's one way of getting around these issues with data because it's your data, it's your broker. If your broker is giving you that data already, then we could use that and just display that, right? Do whatever calculations we need and all that kind of thing, right? So yeah, so that's the idea here. Hopefully we'll have that working by next week and you'll be able to start playing around with it. Cool. So yeah, so to kind of go a little further, so I would expect that when this happens, right, when I say something like this, it should, instead of creating a strategy, it should show me a graph with all this information on it. And then you could look at that graph and you could say zoom in, zoom out, or whatever you want to do with it, and then get it to actually place trades for you. Right? Is that kind of what you're thinking too, Maurizio, or am I missing anything there?
That's kind of the way I'm thinking.
Okay. I think a lot of people will really like that because like I said, I've noticed a lot of people joining our website lately. Like when we first built this website, it's very centered around like back testing and creating strategies. But the more that we've been writing this website, the more I realize like a lot of people just want to trade, right? They don't want to create a strategy. They don't want to back test anything. Just let me like actually start trading using AI. And this will basically support that, right? So you'll be able to like analyze things, get a lot of data, pull data from the SEC, pull data from Federal Reserve, look at macroeconomic trends, put all that stuff on a graph, see if it's what you like, and say, okay, cool, yeah, let's trade. Place this trade, place that trade. Or you could take it a step further and say, you know what, I have a trade idea, and they could actually build that strategy for you and then automate it for you too if you wanted to, right? So that's kind of like the whole flow here. Does that sound cool? Does that sound like what you guys would want to see?
Oh, I definitely would. Just thinking about that, to have the indicators, as a tool and the Fibonacci as a tool to have your trades, it's really good. And the thing is, your theory, you can program to backtest it and really improve on it to see where you made mistakes or where the graph is making mistakes to actually learn and how to make it better.
Hmm.
I think it's a phenomenal thing.
Cool. Yeah, so hopefully we'll have that working by next week and you'll be able to start playing around with that. I think that'd be pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I would love that because I got a couple strategies I can see. Um, and it would be so cool to test them out.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. And then on top of that, we're working on this AI stuff. Maybe even today, it depends what you guys want to work on today, right? Maybe we could even do Polymarket and AI stuff since the AI stuff takes such a long time to back test. If you guys want to work on both, we could even do that today, kind of like what we did last week. Um, every time we back test these AI strategies, it just takes forever to back test them because you have to wait for responses from Gemini or whatever. But I know Andrew last week you wanted to have basically our AI agent be able to create these other AI bots really well. So we actually started working on that too. If you want, we can kind of complete that, right? And then you can have like an AI bot that could trade for you if you wanted to, or you could have like a regular trading strategy to trade if you wanted to, or you could just like manually trade with AI, right? You kind of have all three levels they could go down, right? Either I talk to the AI and I tell it what trades to place, or I automate that and I could back test it and everything, and that runs for me automatically. Or I could take it a step further and make it so that the AI is making all the decisions and trading for me, right? So you have all three levels of like how automated do you want to get, right?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm really interested in that third level where you can give it obviously give it constraints, tell it what it can and can't do. Tell it what you like quite narrowly. This is the reasoning that the areas where you need to reason, and see how it goes. And yeah, just in the alpha picks area is where I want to use it for it to help sort through the different picks on any particular day, and given where the current portfolio is at, make a an intelligent decision on where to allocate.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, we could work on that today, right? Like, I mean, that's already possible from a technical standpoint. We just haven't made it like easy yet. You know what I mean? So all we would have to do, I think we just have to like work on a skill for it. And once we have like a good skill built out, then this is all very doable. You know?
Do you mean like is there the ability for just people to create their own like Lumibot specific AI skills like that?
Yeah, I mean that's what we do, right? Like Bot Spot, like our AI agent is like what's different about what we have versus Claude Code, right? Well, first of all, we have a harness that connects to all these different things, so automatically gives you all these tools and whatever, right? But then in terms of intelligence, it's system prompt and skills. It's kind of what it comes down to. I've been debating making our skills public as well. I don't know. That's kind of a business decision. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for us to do as a business. So I've been kind of debating that because there's trade-offs for that. But if we made our skills public, I think it can make Claude Code a hell of a lot smarter. At least for
Very interesting.
Yeah, at least for what we're doing, right? Because we've like f really started to fine tune these skills a lot about like, okay, this is exactly how this works. This is exactly how this works. Like all the like little details, right? Our documentation is also very good. So, if you're using one of the modern AIs, it should be pretty good at making this stuff because our documentation is just like really, really thorough. But yeah, maybe the skills will make it even better, right? 'Cause at least it works well for us. We're able to get like a really like we're using 5.4 mini, which is by no means a very smart model, right? Like when I do my regular coding, I use 5.5 on extra high, right? This is 5.4, the generation before, and set to mini, right? So, but we're still able to get a model that like that's I wouldn't say dumb. It's not dumb, but it's not a 5.5 extra high, right? But we're still able to get it to do pretty amazing stuff because we have really good skills, we have a really good system prompt, we have really good evals, right? So that's how we're able to get this thing to do some pretty magical kind of stuff, right?
Cool.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. So, why don't we do this then? I will bring up our poll for us to vote on. We only got two people here right now. So not gonna be much of a vote. I guess Mark will come back soon. We have someone else here on YouTube as well. Maybe that's just me watching myself, but yeah, we got someone else there. I don't know if they're watching or not. Either way, here is our survey. So here are some of the things that we can work on today if you guys want to do that. So we can work on Alpha Pix option strategies. Actually, let me see how that's been doing. I haven't checked on that for a while. Let me see how Alpha Pix options is working. So go my bots. We have Alpha Pix calls only live. Oh, look, it's actually up now. Amazing. We're making some money, guys. It's up 0.3%. It's beating the S&P by a little bit so far. Cool. Okay, that's good. We're up to 4,100 bucks. I made $12 so far.
What are the positions?
It owns one contract of CSTM. It owns one contract of GM and four contracts of Nexa, which is strange because it's only supposed to hold on to two at a time. We might need to tweak this a little bit. I actually was looking into it, and if you guys want to work on this, I actually started to tweak this a bit. So what I noticed with the options strategies one, so this one here, um, it wasn't working the way that, at least that I would have expected, because it would buy two positions, but then would just basically hold them forever, right? Um, so I started introducing some like when does it exit positions, right? And we can make it exit pretty close to before it expires, right? I think that's one really good way of doing it. Just like if it's going to expire in the next month, just get out of it, right? And you can roll it forward. And then um it also checks that you're only the top two, right? So I started working on that. I don't think that's implemented yet, but basically it's like if we go through this process. So basically, it's like, let's get all the alpha picks, then filter them only by strong buy, and then look at the momentum on them, which ones are up the most over the past 6 months, and then those are the ones we want, right? But then there's actually a problem with that where for some reason this thing switched over to using a 50 delta, or sorry, a 65 delta instead of a 50, so it wasn't able to buy as much stuff. And at least an account like this is a $4,000 account, so it wasn't able to buy as much. And if those two changed from today to tomorrow or next week or whatever, let's say if something dropped off the Alpha Picks list or went from strong buy down to a hold or anything like that, it would not remove it, right? It wouldn't exit the position and sell. So that's something that I started looking into as well, right? The returns weren't as crazy when I made that change, but they seem more realistic to me, right? Because when we back tested this, I noticed one of the reasons why we got such a good back test result. And it was like really off the charts. I don't know if you guys remember, it was like 400% a year or something crazy like that. But I noticed one of the reasons why I was doing that was because it kind of just got lucky, right? It bought two and it just held those two, and those just happened to be the ones that like really took off like crazy, right? Whereas if it like changes more often and it like, it kind of has a higher probability of success, I think, right? Um, and like if things change, you can adjust to that and whatever, right? So if you guys want, we could definitely work on this Alpha Pix option strategy. I do think it could use a bit of love, so we could work on that. We could keep working on the AI trading stuff. We could build a Twitter trading bot, or we could work on prediction markets. This prediction market stuff is really cool. Poly market's pretty much working now. There's still a bit more before it actually is like working well enough to put up on a website, but we can work towards that today if you guys want to do that. We could work on an SPX strategy. We could use TradingView to create future strategies. We could do a poor man's covered call. We could do futures momentum bot. We could do the Pelosi or Congress trading. We could do insider trading, an insider trading bot, like not like insider trading, but I mean looking at insiders, how they trade and copy them. And then we could do a hedge fund copier, which we actually started kind of doing with the Citadel stuff, sort of, right? Although I guess it's a little different. We could do factor trading, or we could implement level two order books. It's another interesting thing for us to work on. Okay. Um, any questions or comments about any of that, or anything you guys would want to add to the list?
Which one would I vote for the skills approach? Is it the trading team?
Um, why don't we make that a separate thing? Because yes, it is the AI trading team, but why don't we make that a little bit more explicit? So I'm assuming that's what you want to vote for, right?
That or just fix up the alpha picks options one as well, because I feel that that's heading in the right direction, and we're going to build off that in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they both seem good ones. Okay, so I added a thing here, AI trading team skill for BotSpot.